I mean, any public has to come in too.
Yeah, okay.
Shit.
Hey, Joe, you see that article I sent you on Rogers?
Bro, I write the articles.
I'm telling you,
I'm an owner.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, they're going to trade him.
Hey,
It's going to be a blockbuster trade.
Blockbuster. That's the name of a video company. Blockbuster. They ain't doing nothing without my approval. I'll tell you that much.
Okay,
Wow.
guys, we are live, and we are on YouTube. So,
Okay, the mayor's called the meeting to order. So on the roll call, Council Member Joseph Delaney.
Yeah.
Council Member Maslag.
Yeah, I'm here.
Council Member Herrera.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney.
Jason,
Mayor Rigoloso.
here.
Okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 absent, which means a quorum is present for this regular meeting of the Garfield City
Jason,
Council,
we're going to close it now.
which is being held today,
We're gonna close the meeting.
Tuesday, January 26, 2021. This meeting is being held in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act and under guidelines set forth by the New Jersey Division of Local Government Services in an email dated March 12, 2020, and in accordance with Executive Order 104 issued by the Governor, Phil Murphy, and in accordance with Local Finance Notice number 2020-21 issued September 24th, 2020, for remote meetings being held during a declared emergency. Adequate notice was provided by mail, fax, and email to the official city newspapers and to other interested parties, and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin boards and the front and back doors of City Hall and on the city website. Special notice was also published on January the 23rd, 2021, in the editions of the Bergen Record and Herald News newspapers advising of this meeting being held remotely, and the public was directed to the city website for guidance in order to listen and watch and participate. If everyone please rise, we'd like to begin with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. If everyone could remain standing, in consideration that approximately 1 year ago, the first COVID coronavirus case took place in the United States. So for those that have been affected or passed away, and if we could have a moment of silent reflection in consideration of all those people. So a moment of silent reflection. Okay, thank you one and all.
Assistant Deputy Manager and City Clerk, I'd like to close the meeting. I want to talk about some personnel, so I'd like to go to private session. Thank
Well,
you. So let's go.
we would need a resolution to go into closed session. Let me,
I signed one, Drew.
I know, I'm digging it up.
Okay, we're going into closed session, not to discuss specific personnel, but to discuss personnel, contracts and issues of that nature.
Sounds good, Bob.
Okay, the resolution signed by Joseph Delaney and Mayor Rigoloso. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Right.
We have 4 ayes, 1 absent.
We're off.
So we have to end the webinar, and then everyone has to rejoin, and we're going to stay in the practice session. Just the council members.
So,
Everyone rejoin.
or the whole council?
The whole council just rejoin again.
All right.
Hit the link again. Did
Well-
everyone hear that?
Well, right now, everybody's on hold, right? Well,
The public is with us right now, though, so to get them out, we have to end it
okay.
and then restart.
They hear everything?
How are they gonna get back on?
The same link again. Everyone uses the same link.
How will they know when we're out of closed session?
They can rejoin immediately, and then once we're ready to leave closed session, we'll open the meeting for the public.
It's John Lavin. Can I make a suggestion? Why don't we just do a breakout room for the council? This way we just jump over and don't have to sign off and sign back in.
So we're in the webinar version, so we can't do breakout rooms.
In future, will we be able to do that?
Then the public would be in the meeting with us.
Can we hold this? Can we hold this till at the end?
For the public hearings right now?
Yeah. Yes. I suggest we do it at the end there, unless you have an urgency that.
Rich,
Yeah, Joe Delaney.
We can't put the public in the waiting room? Worried about if everybody rejoin, they have an issue. Rejoin. You know? Let's end it.
Wait, Jason. All right.
The ladies on this.
Mayor, could I, before we have our discussion, could I read real quickly this?
ma'am.
Okay. Pursuant to local finance notice number 2020-21, all participants are muted during the meeting, and all members of the public wishing to make a comment during this remote meeting will be permitted to do so using audio and/or video technology under which this remote meeting is being held. Members of the public may submit written comments to the mayor and city council through city clerk Andrew J. Pavlicka by either email to apavlicka@garfieldnj.org or written letter to city clerk Andrew J. Pavlicka at City Hall, 111 Atwater Lane, Garfield, New Jersey, 07026, and that written comments must be received by 12 noon of the day of the remote meeting to be included in the meeting. Public comments will be read aloud with the person's name and address during times designated during the meeting for public participation, and that the mayor and council reserve the right to pass over duplicative written comments. However, each duplicative comment shall be noted for the record with content summarized. A member of the public wishing to speak during a remote meeting shall state their name and address for the record prior to making their comments and will be limited to 3 minutes. Members of the public commenting during a remote meeting shall not act in any manner to disrupt the meeting, and if such a member of the public becomes disruptive during the meeting, the individual chairing the meeting shall mute or direct the muting of the disruptive member and warn that any continued disruption may result in the member being prevented from speaking during the meeting or be removed from the remote meeting. Disruptive conduct include, but is not limited to, sustained inappropriate behavior such as shouting, interruption, and the use of profanity. Any member who continues to be disruptive after receiving a warning may be muted while other members of the public are allowed to proceed with their comments, and if time permits, the disruptive individual shall be allowed to speak after all other members of the public are provided an opportunity to comment. Should individual remain disruptive, the individual may be muted or kept on mute for the remainder of the remote meeting or removed from the meeting. So we could continue with the meeting.
Coronavirus update. Today there were 21 cases.
Drew, there's an annoying clicking sound. I don't know if anyone else hears it, but I know I
hear
can't
it.
listen to that.
Stop now.
I think that's Drew chewing bubblegum.
Hi, Ernie.
Okay.
Hi.
So today, for the coronavirus update, we have 21 cases today. One person passed away today. The age is still undetermined. As of January, we have 443 cases of coronavirus and 6 deaths. Total, since the beginning, there are 2,667 residents that have contacted the coronavirus. 84 of our residents have passed away. Just so everybody remember, please keep those families in your thoughts and prayers. The city of Garfield is on the list to get the vaccine. We'll probably end up, when we do get it, it'll only be 100 vaccines. They will go to our senior citizens first, and then if we get a second batch, it will continue that way. Then from there, first responders, health workers, and so forth and so on. But we're looking to get our seniors. We don't know when we're getting our vaccines. There's a process. We have the refrigeration. We don't have the generator. Once the generator gets delivered and hooks up, the state has to come down and inspect the site to make sure it is a refrigerator that can hold the vaccine, and the generator is hooked up correctly. Then the vaccine will be delivered. So even though they gave us their okay, they also gave the okay to a bunch of other municipalities, and we're all on the same boat, is that it's a wait and see. There's only a few workers going around doing this inspection. But the good news is that we are on that list to get it. Bad news is that it's only going to be, when we do get it, it'll only be at 100 at a time. And when you're out, you have to reorder it. And that takes a few days. So it's not like we're getting tons of vaccine. There is the mega center that will be opening soon at the Meadowlands. First responders and everybody, they could go to the hospitals. We were told that they could move in front of the line, as well as our healthcare workers. They just need to make an appointment. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They don't need to make an appointment. They just need to show up. That's what we were told. So that'll be it for the coronavirus update. Our city manager's report, Tom?
On the city manager's report, all that I have to say is that there was a tremendous number of resolutions and ordinances tonight. Those resolutions and ordinances are a result of the lengthy discussion which took place at the work meeting some 2 weeks ago. So I ask your support for those resolutions that reflect what the council's wishes are. The ordinances that are there, if there's any questions when they arise, I'm happy to answer them. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Drew, before you go into resolutions, and we're starting at number 17, am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
So if we have a run of numbers of yeses, just say 17 through, for example, 25, 24, do you know what I'm trying to say? And you take one roll call as opposed to reading each one and then going through the circuit?
I guess the way to do that is to ask the council members, do they have any issues with any of the resolutions listed?
Well, they could, at that point, they could say, I oppose resolution 20, 21, or whatever, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying, to take one.
I'm normally fine with that, but what's inconvenient is when we get sent the agenda and I understand we got it late today, and I know sometimes it's hard to avoid, but it's kind of impossible to turn your head to follow the agenda when it's scanned in like this. So if I just have a few minutes, I could write down resolutions that I want to abstain on.
And the reason also that we had the agenda changing is because we got resolutions until after 4 p.m. today.
All right.
No, that's fine. I understand that part. It's just right now for me, it's hard reading it. So if
Yeah, I
just
understand.
have-
I'm only providing information.
Well, before we go into resolutions, didn't we say that we've been doing this in the past, that we're not going to comment on the resolutions until council comments? Either yes or no, and let's move on. If we need an explanation, one of our professionals will explain it.
That's fine with me.
Right? So if you have 5 yeses in a row,
Okay.
and we go from 17 to 22, we don't have to read each one of them.
Well, you know what I'll do, Mayor? I'll say, we'll take one vote on 17, 18, 19, and then if someone wants to stop me, then it'll be the vote from 17 to that number.
Got it. I'll leave it up to you.
Okay. So proceed. Before we go to resolutions, very quickly, in a letter to me dated January the 11th, 2021, Mayor Richard Rigoloso has appointed Daniel Golobeck of 44 Godwin Avenue, Elmwood Park, New Jersey, as a Class 2 member of the Planning Board, effective immediately to succeed Gerald Wallace for a 4-year term, said term to expire January 1st, 2025. So that's the term for a city official to be on the Planning Board. So
Thank you.
now proceed with resolutions.
Yes.
So any council members that would like me to stop, please indicate. So we will take one roll call vote on 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24,
Drew,
20. Yes.
Drew, with 23, you think we should name the professionals or?
Sure, if that's, okay,
let's
so,
stop it at 22.
okay, so
You
one,
know what? When do we do that? They could get that information elsewhere in order to go with it. It's on a consent,
yeah, it's posted on our website and everyone
Exactly.
also got these resolutions emailed to them.
Okay, all right.
All right, so
Hey, Pat, I
23,
don't know why I opened up my mouth.
24, 25, 26, which is a handicap parking space, 27, which is a
A light pole.
light pole, 28, it's confirming endorsement of community development, 29 is also doing the same for the Boys and Girls Club, 30, it's an emergency 1-inch water line repair for Elizabeth and Malcolm Avenue, 31, it's a change order in connection with the 2017 road improvement program. 32 is also in regard to the 2017 road improvement program.
I just want to say with regards to that, Drew, I know I did bring these up at the work session, and our city manager did explain to me yesterday, so I'm okay with both of them.
Okay. 33 has to do with the contract with DS Meyer. 34 has,
Let's stop at 34, so that could be explained what the LEAP Challenge grant is.
I guess that would be the city manager to explain the LEAP Challenge grant.
Yeah, this way, if anybody wants a question, everything else is self-explanatory here.
Okay, so 17 to 33, we're voting on, Drew.
Okay. So on the roll call, Councilmember Joe Delaney,
Aye.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney.
Yes,
I don't
Drew,
know.
I vote aye on all except for resolution number 22, of which I abstain, being that I work for the Borough of Elmwood Park.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, hold on, let me get 22. Okay, so we're up to number 34, which is the LEAP Challenge grant.
Yes.
And I guess, or I heard somebody want an explanation in connection with that.
The LEAP Challenge grant was submitted directly to the clerk's office. It is a grant in connection with the county. We have the possibility of getting up to $150,000. I ask your support of the LEAP Challenge grant resolution.
But Tom, what's it for, Tom?
I don't have it in front of me. I read it yesterday. It was not presented to me, as I said earlier. It was presented directly to the clerk's office, so it went right around me. So I read it yesterday. Without having it in front of me again, I really can't say more than that. That's all I recall.
It's,
Joe, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's to study, develop, and implement new shared service initiatives.
Yeah, this is
Correct.
a
I
grant
remember
from,
now.
this is
I
a grant
remember
from
now.
the county commissioners. Tracy Zer's behind it. It's,
Oh, yeah, okay.
for food insecurities and shared services throughout the county to help residents in need, basically.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't give a better explanation, but again, it went right around me. Go ahead.
Do we want to continue because the next ones have to do with redevelopment?
Okay, we can stop there, Joe.
Okay, so on this resolution, which is signed by council members, excuse me, Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Macelag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
deputy mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The next resolution is one which directs the planning board to consider as an area to be in need of redevelopment. It has to do with 55 Grand Street and 58 Willard Street. It's the old firehouse number 3 property. I don't know if we need any more description on that.
The only thing I would add, Mr. Clerk, is that this is to send it to the planning board to determine whether or not it will qualify as an area in need of redevelopment. It is a study only. It is not a designation. And that follows true for the next couple of resolutions. Thank you,
The
Mr.
next
Clerk.
one, as the city manager has indicated, it's in regard to 28 Walnut Street. I'll proceed for the next one. It's in connection with 363 Palisade Avenue. And the next one is in regard to 30-38 Plauderville Avenue.
And these are all studies.
Yes.
Good.
If you'd like, I could take one roll call vote on those
One
resolutions.
roll call vote.
Okay,
please.
which are signed by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Richard Rigoloso. On the roll call, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Macelag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
deputy mayor Aaron Delaney.
I just want to confirm that these are all just for studies, correct?
That is correct. They have to, it'll go to the planning board. The planning board will determine if we should proceed with the study. Study will take place, and it has to come back to the governing body.
All right, so I will vote aye at this time for the studies.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye. I'm excited I'll leave my comments to you.
Okay, so we have 5 ayes on those. The next resolution is one, it's a Public Employees Benefit Trust prescription allowance. It's,
Drew, I'm fine with you doing one roll call vote for the next few. I don't know if everyone else
Okay.
is.
No, we're fine with that.
okay, that has to do with Public Employees Benefits Trust prescription. The next one has to do with Bergen Municipal Employee Benefits Fund, so that's the HIF. The next one is a resolution, the term in regard to Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield New Jersey medical and prescription coverage. The next one is the City of Garfield Mutual Aid. Oh, okay, this one goes,
That's something different.
yeah, it's something
So
different.
let's go to 39, 30,
Okay,
40,
so,
41.
okay, so up to 41. These resolutions are signed by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Macelag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
deputy mayor Aaron Delaney, Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The next resolution is the City of Garfield Mutual Aid Resolution. It's in regard to the mutual aid plan and rapid deployment force to deal with emergencies. The resolution is signed by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Maslag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The next resolution is for broker of consultant services for Stanley H. Allen Incorporated. And the resolution is signed by council members Joseph Delaney and Richard Rigoloso. On the roll call, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Maslag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney.
Sorry, Tom. What is this something that we have every year? The broker
Uh,
consultant?
The mutual aid one are you talking about?
No, the one
no.
right after the broker and consultant resolution?
The broker and consultant services, sometimes it's every year, sometimes it's every 3, depends on the council's pleasure.
Okay, so it's something that isn't new to the city. All right,
It's not new to the city.
thank you. I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Drew, what's the years?
It's extensive resolution. January 31st, 2024.
Okay, I vote aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Okay, going through the next few resolutions. The next one is a community development block grant application for ADA ramp, sidewalk, and drainage improvements. Number 45 is a resolution of support from the city of Garfield for Sustainable Jersey Energy Technical Assistance Application. The next resolution is one for the city of Garfield authorizing the submission of Bergen County Community Development Block Grant. It's for the Columbus Avenue Drainage Improvement Project Phase 1.
Wait, Drew, stop
excuse me,
that,
Tim-
Tom. Tom, that's with regards to the property along Market Street, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Councilman Delaney.
I'm
What
just a
happened was-
councilman, yeah.
So what happened was, I had Carl O'Brien go out there with Sam Garofalo, view the entire area, come up with a proposal, and in order to have a successful application for community development, we're going to have to do this in phases. But so we will take this application and the next application. That's what we will bring to the Central Bergen Committee of Community Development, and we will negotiate the best transaction we can, as we have in the past, right, Mr. Delaney?
That's correct, Tom. Better
All
than
right.
most. Thank
So
you,
as
Tom.
the city manager has described, the number 47 is $437,200 grant application. It's for various culvert replacements. The next resolution is the capital budget amendment, because we have a bond ordinance for tonight, and that concludes resolutions at this time. So if the mayor does not object, we'll take one roll call vote on those resolutions.
No objection.
Okay. On the roll call, Councilmember Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Proceed with bills and claims.
Bills
Mr.
and claims.
Okay, resolved by the City Council, of the City of Garfield, that the following bills are actually bill number 2265, covering Dog Trust Fund, totaling $21, and the current fund reserve totaling $661,622.57, and the current fund totaling $5,567,686.60, and the water fund reserve totaling $177,764.07, and the water fund totaling $15,719.85, and the general capital fund totaling $190,700.85, and the water capital fund totaling $7,772.75 per attached computer list dated January the 22nd, 2021. Be ordered paid, and the proper officers are hereby authorized to issue checks for same, provided that there are funds in the respective appropriations. Be it further resolved that the action of the mayor, city clerk, and city treasurer in issuing checks and payment on the ratification list, which includes 29 items prior to the meeting, be ratified. Bills and claims resolution is offered by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call, Councilmember Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Proceed with ordinances, Mr. Mayor.
Ordinances, please.
Okay, on introduction, we have bond ordinance to authorizing the making of various public improvements by and for the water utility of the city of Garfield and the county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $580,000 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Joseph Delaney.
Drew, I just want to state that, especially for the new council members, I know I shouldn't be saying nothing, but the thing is, this is just introduction. We will not adopt any ordinance for another month at our next meeting in February. So which means you do have an entire month to go over every ordinance that we're voting on today. If you have any questions, you could call up the proper authorities, whoever it may be. And this way, before we actually vote to accept it. This is just to introduce it. In another month, at our next council meeting, we will be voting to accept it. I guess if that's the right word, accept, I don't know.
Can
All
we,
right.
for every, not only for the council members, but for the public, just have a few words, brief explanation of our ordinances before there's a vote?
Yes. I could take that, Tom. Troy?
Go ahead. Who's that, Roy?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Roy.
This is improvement of one of the wells. If you recall, one of them was called a stripper, where 4 years ago, we did some temporary scrubbing at the wells. So this ordinance now is putting money in place to finalize the water well filtration system.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Okay, I'm waiting for Councilmember Joseph Delaney.
Oh, aye.
Okay, Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
the Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance passes on introduction.
Drew, before you go on to the next ordinances,
Yes.
where it's weeds and grass, rubbish, garbage, for the public to know that this is all kind of upkeeping for property maintenance. So that'd be kind of the explanation about warnings and fines and everything like that. It was just a changing of a word here or there.
Mayor,
It's just upkeep.
Mayor, I don't mean to interrupt, but ordinance number 2, the second and third ordinance on the agenda,
Yes,
they are, we didn't send them. I think they came from John Pinto.
yes, they did.
So my recommendation, and I'll explain why, is that you take the second and third ordinance off the table, because what Mr. Pinto wanted to do was put fines in there, and we put them all in one place on the 5th ordinance there, where you see violations and penalties pertaining to property maintenance. So what we prepared on number 5 takes care of his issues on 2 and 3. So I recommend you take 2 and 3 off the table and just, move number 5 along.
Bob, I was told the reason they were on is because we're letting them pay by credit card.
That's right. And we let them play without a court appearance. So that's what we do on number 5.
To pay by credit card also. I thought that's what those ordinances were for.
It was to pay the fine without going to court.
Right.
But it's court appearance not required. That's really what it does.
Whatever you say, you're the attorney there.
Online, they can do it online. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So I would take 2 and 3 off the table and just move number 5. That would be my recommendation.
all right, so 2, 3, and the mayor also said 4 is off the table.
4, which one? 2, 3.
That was the one,
2 and
where
3.
you were talking about warnings.
Yes.
So that one is held. So pursuant to the advice of our city
Wait,
attorney,
Wait,
Ferrero.
I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor, can I jump in?
Sure.
Okay, so 2 and 3, I would agree with Mr. Ferrero that he has addressed that in item number 5.
Right.
In terms of ordinance number 4, garbage, rubbish, and refuse, I thought you had a meeting today with the property maintenance inspectors, and we were going to pass this ordinance this way, and I was going to issue a directive to the property maintenance inspectors that
That is correct.
the first appearance, the first violation, when somebody puts their trash out too early, the first violation will be a recorded warning, which will be shared across the departments. Only in the case of the second violation, that would then become, that would be fine. Am
That's correct.
I clear?
No, you are clear that you were going to give it a directive.
So are we okay with the 4th resolution then?
Yes.
All right. So just for the benefit of the citizens who are listening, there's a series of ordinances that pertain to garbage, rubbish, and refuse, then property maintenance code violations, littering again, front yard parking, and snow removal. All of those ordinances, the property maintenance inspectors recommended that if the citizen was going to plead guilty, they should not be required to come to court. Right now, the ordinance says you have to come to court. So if the citizen determines they don't want to go to court, they were in fact in violation, they would be able to pay online. And yes, Mr. Delaney was correct. They would pay either by ACH, by a check, or they would pay by credit card as we implement our new software. So that would eliminate the need for a citizen to appear should they wish to plead guilty. They obviously would still have the ability to appear. Of course, right now, court is virtual. They would have the opportunity to appear to challenge if they were going to plead not guilty. Is that a fair summary, Mr. Ferrero?
Yes, Judge. I mean, Mr.
Judge.
Listen, I've had a lot of jobs. I haven't had that one
I'll tell
yet.
you.
I can't keep a job. Anyway, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, so therefore, on introduction, we have an ordinance to amend chapter 164 of the city code of the city of Garfield entitled Garbage, Rubbish, and Refuse. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. So on first reading, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Maslag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
deputy mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance passes on introduction. So the next ordinance we have on introduction, an ordinance to amend chapter 242 of the city code of the city of Garfield entitled Violations and Penalties pertaining to property maintenance code violations. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. I don't know if there's any comment or description. Otherwise, I'll proceed with the roll call.
Proceed.
Okay, on first reading, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Maslag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
deputy mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance passes on introduction. The next ordinance we have is an ordinance to amend chapter 201 of the city code of the city of Garfield entitled littering. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, council member Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
council member Maslag,
Aye.
council member Herrera,
Aye.
deputy mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The next,
Drew,
I think,
that-
yes,
Drew,
go ahead, Bob. I know what you're going to
that
say.
ordinance should be pulled off the table because I think that's another ordinance that Mr. Pinto sent in, but we took care of it in the one that we just moved forward on introduction. So it's just a duplicate in a way, but it's misnumbered. The chapter's wrong. That was not ours, but we took care of it in the one you just moved on introduction.
Okay, you're talking about the one that says chapter 1992, right?
That should be taken off the, I don't know.
Okay, and also taken off chapter 1882.
Okay, so the one for 1992 littering should come off. The one 1882 should come off as well. And in addition, Mr. Pinto asked that one be tabled anyway. He has some other work he wants to do before he makes recommendations on the front yard parking.
Mr. City Attorney, do I proceed with the one to amend chapter 280?
Yeah, so long as the council's fine with taking those two off the table.
Okay, so proceeding on introduction, an ordinance to amend chapter 280 of the city code of the city of Garfield entitled Snow Removal. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, with 5 ayes, the ordinance passes on introduction. The next one is an introduction, an ordinance to add Article 9, Chapter 226 of the City Code of the City of Garfield entitled Snow Removal Parking. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Joseph Delaney.
All right, just explain this ordinance to the public. Basically, what this says, we've been trying to put together some snow emergency routes, which means alternate side of parking, street parking, when it snows. This way, we're able to go to one side, right to the curb, and then hopefully the next day, the people move the cars to the other side, and the plows could come back and plow the other side of the curb. Basically, it's done in other cities, other towns, and it works out well. So we're just trying to make it easier for the parking situation in the city of Garfield when it snows. That's what this basically is. So I vote aye, Drew.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Thank you, Councilman Delaney, for the nice explanation. I voted aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney.
Romy, I thought he could have given a better explanation if you asked me, but
I'm pretty sure.
I vote aye. Just kidding.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The next resolution on introduction is an ordinance to amend and revise chapter number 1268. Mr. City Attorney, is this one where we should hold?
This has to do with the stop signs, four-way stop signs.
Right.
Oh,
Why
okay,
we
I
holding
got
it?
it, okay.
Yeah, no,
So
we're not
on
holding it.
introduction, this is an ordinance to amend and revise ordinance number 1268 of the city code of the city of Garfield entitled an ordinance to regulate traffic and parking, more particularly the section designating stop sign intersections. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, council member Joseph Delaney.
You know, I'm glad, Mayor, that you did put me voting first, so I can explain these resolutions, ordinances.
As long as you keep it
Evidently, I
short.
don't explain it that good, so I'm gonna take my time with this one. This ordinance has to do with issues that we spoke about in the campaign with regards to speeding throughout the city of Garfield. And we promised our residents that we will work diligently on the speeding conditions in the city of Garfield. And one of the ways that we all decided would be to put four-way stop signs at certain intersections. And I believe we only have a few on tonight, but we are leaving that open. There will be more put on through the years. So this is just the beginning of something to do for the speeding throughout the city. You agree with me, Mr. Engineer?
Yes, yeah, that, I agree, Councilman. And we'll look at those, we'll look at other intersections with the police, see what works, and we'll make recommendations from there.
He just wanted to make sure you're paying attention.
Always. Thanks, Mayor.
I vote aye, Drew. I hope that's okay for the deputy mayor, my explanation. I know she's very critical.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
I voted aye, and I agree with that 100%.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Yeah, like Councilman said, there'll be other streets that we'll be looking at through the months and the years that there are speeding. It seems to be an issue in the city of Garfield, wherever there's a long strip of street where there's no stop signs, anything over a half a mile, it seems to be speeding. So we're looking into those streets, and just be patient with us. If anybody in the public happen to know a street that has speeding, please send us an email and we'll take a look at it. Thank you. I vote aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance passes on introduction. The next ordinance is held.
Which one is that?
It has no signatures on it.
Okay.
Has to do with food handlers.
Yeah.
As is the next one is held.
Wait.
These are all have to do with the food handlers, all different ones with food handlers.
Here's the one I saw.
It's coming up.
They're not even on the agenda. Why are we?
I don't even see nothing here, Joe.
It's the last one on the agenda. There's a food handlers.
Oh,
Next
yeah.
page.
So, okay, so all these are held. Hold on. Okay, on introduction, an ordinance to amend chapter 329 of the City Code of the City of Garfield entitled Vehicle Sales Businesses, specifically chapter 329-12, entitled Parking Regulations. Hold on a moment here. I don't know if this is listed on the agenda or not.
I have it over here.
We do? Okay,
I
so,
have an ordinance to amend chapter 329 of the city code of the
Okay.
city of Garfield entitled Vehicle Sales
So-
Businesses, specifically to chapter 329-12 entitled Parking Regulations.
yeah, it's introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso, and it has to do with motor vehicle sales, storing, parking, or locating on premises within 50 feet of any building occupied solely for residences, nor 200 feet of a school, church, or other place of assembly. It has to do with specified number of parking spaces for customer vehicles. Has to do with the size of the spaces. Each business shall submit to the building department within 60 days of the passage of this ordinance a detailed parking diagram of its premises showing compliance with this chapter. So that, I don't know if that's a sufficient explanation, but that's what the ordinance does. And if we want, we'll proceed with the roll call vote on first reading. Councilmember Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Councilmember Maslag.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney. You used to be the deputy mayor last year.
Oh,
Like a month
did you
ago.
hear that?
That's all right. I'm wondering if at our next work session meeting, because I would like some more input on this from our professionals in the building that have to go out and inspect these facilities. So if, whether it's our fire prevention or building department, if they can just either be there on the line just to get some of their feedback on this. I think that would be a good idea for our next work session before adoption. But right now, I'm going to aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
I vote aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes on introduction. The next ordinance we have is on introduction, an ordinance of the City of Garfield creating a new chapter 214 of the Garfield City Code to be entitled Motor Vehicle Repair Shops. And this ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Joseph.
I'm sorry, could I just make a comment? Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, so my comment would be the last ordinance, motor vehicle repair shops, and the vehicle sales businesses, motor vehicle sales, parking regulations, and this one, motor vehicle repair shops. Isn't this the work of Mr. Delaney and the Quality of Life Committee? Isn't
Tom.
Isn't
can
that
I add
correct?
that? Yeah, Tom, that's absolutely correct. And when we had the quality of life meeting, the maintenance department, building department, all were in favor. They're the ones that put these ordinance together for us. along with
Probably the last one.
Thank you.
It
Yeah, I
came
just
like
wanted to
at the
make
end of the
sure
day.
because
Yeah,
I thought these were the ordinances that you worked on.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, on first reading, on the roll call, Councilmember Joseph Delaney.
Yes, but I do agree with the deputy mayor, Drew, if we could have somebody on the line for our next work session to explain their reasoning why they believe these will help us out, okay?
Okay.
How about I?
Councilmember Maslag.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, with 5 ayes, the ordinance passes on introduction. Also on introduction, we have an ordinance of the City of Garfield, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing the code of the city, Chapter 287, entitled Streets and Sidewalks, more specifically adding Article 6, entitled Curb Repairs Performed by the City. The ordinance is introduced by Council Members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll
Mr. Mayor,
call,
can I comment on this one?
Yes, you may.
Just for the benefit of the public, this was an ordinance that was recommended by Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney. And this was recommended as a result of what happens in one of the places that she works. When we do road paving projects, this sets a standard that if there are more than 30% damaged curbs in a particular area, the engineer would then recommend the replacement of the curb. So it puts into law what would otherwise just be a practice. So it's a good ordinance, and I ask your support. And I see the new engineer shaking his head, so we're going to take that as an affirmation that we should proceed.
Thank you, Tom.
okay, on first reading, Councilmember Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye. Thank you, Tom, for explaining.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The next ordinance is an ordinance, it's on introduction, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garfield adopting amendments to the redevelopment plan for the Kalama site block 50.01 lot 1 pursuant to NJSA 40A:12A-1 et sec. This ordinance is introduced by Council Members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso.
Mayor, if I can.
May.
Okay, so the redevelopment plan for the Kalama site was previously approved by the prior governing body. This ordinance is before you this evening to make a couple of amendments. Essentially, the main amendment was in the corner of the building was essentially like a space for a doggy daycare at the intersection of River Drive and Monroe Street. This allows other commercial uses. It allows a restaurant, which the mayor has indicated he would prefer. It would allow other commercial type uses on that corner. Additionally, it would also allow the drive-through facility would be rather unique. There would be, there's a self-storage building that's at the front of the property, which was in the prior site plan, which was approved. This would allow someone to drive in at ground level, enter the storage facility, so they would be protected from the elements, and then they would exit after they were, they deposited their belongings into their rental pod, their rental space. So it would allow for better traffic flow on the property. So the amendment does not change the original plan, again, that was approved by the prior governing body. It allows us to proceed with the redevelopment of this 6-acre site in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Roger.
Okay, on the roll call, Councilmember Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera, Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The next resolution on introduction is an ordinance to amend Article 5, Chapter 80 of the City Code of the City of Garfield entitled Trap, Neuter, and Return Program. The ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso. Aye. Okay, we have 5. I don't know what, I didn't call roll. I don't know. There was a repeat there. Yeah,
No, not us.
our recording expert said that somebody has YouTube playing in the background.
So we'll make the call.
Okay, on this ordinance, for the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Joseph Delaney,
Aye.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye. Before explanation here, we've been working on this for a long time, for the last 3-4 years, and it doesn't seem like it's working, so I'm voting aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance passes on introduction. The next ordinance is held.
Which one is that?
Which one is that?
Chapter 260.
260-36.
Why is that held?
I was directed to hold it unless the mayor wants to proceed.
What is the sanitary code?
All that ordinance does is adopts the state law regarding sanitation, makes it part of our municipal code.
Oh. You don't know that.
This has to do with the fee for vending trucks, city attorney.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at an agenda that I received. That's not on my agenda. Okay.
So
Wait,
Joe, what, which one
sanitary
are we-
has something to do with the fee?
no, he thought it was a different ordinance. This is an ordinance to amend the fee for vending trucks under Article 7, Section 260-36 of the city code regarding fees. And it would have, yes, Mr. Deputy
Joe,
Mayor.
according
yes.
to the agenda, the next one's supposed to be amend chapter 260 of the city code.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at.
Well,
Well, you
we
put the
kept
agenda
making,
together, Drew.
I'm sorry,
You put the agenda together, didn't you?
that's correct. And the reason that
Well,
there's,
follow it.
that's not the agenda that was finalized because after 4 o'clock, we had gotten all sorts of legislation. There's several agendas that went out. The most current one was after 4 o'clock.
So,
This one, the one I got is after 4 o'clock, buddy.
There, I don't know what to say, Mr. Deputy Mayor. We kept getting,
let's just figure it out. Let's figure it out. Are we talking this one?
I don't know.
Yeah, fella.
No,
No.
then that's the next one.
Okay, that's the
But,
next.
but I was told to hold this one because I think you had,
Oh, because there's 260s. You got 260 dash. This is,
So we just did the TNR one.
this
So
is the
after
one we're
that,
holding.
right,
Yeah.
This
okay.
is the one we're holding.
I think where the confusion came is the city attorney thought this was the next ordinance. So
So now,
proceeding in accordance with the agenda. We have an ordinance on first reading, an ordinance to amend chapter 260 of the city code of the city of Garfield entitled sanitation to adopt provisions of the state sanitary code. So this ordinance is introduced by council members Herrera, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, council member Joseph Delaney.
Tom, do you remember if this is the one that the health department sent to us?
Yes.
This is,
Yes.
okay, thank you. I
Correct.
vote aye.
Thank you, Bob.
Councilmember Maslag,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney,
aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes.
Ooh, that was tough.
But wait, there's more, just when you thought it was over. The last ordinance that we received late, it's an ordinance to amend and revise ordinance number chapter 150 of the city code of the city of Garfield entitled Food Handlers Mobile. So this is the ordinance, Mr. Mayor, that you had.
Right, and I'll explain it. This
Okay.
is, we have 5 food trucks that are in the city of Garfield. And we're looking at number 6 food truck in the city of Garfield as of yesterday. But through the issues that have been happening lately and the complaints that we have been getting from residents and businesses on the streets where food trucks happen to park, it's been determined that it's in the best interest of our brick and mortar small businesses and eateries that we not eliminate, Bob, which way we're going, where food trucks can only park?
So Mayor, this eliminates the ability for any mobile food handler to operate on the city streets or at the curb. So it does not affect, for instance, someone who's pulling onto private property, like a catering truck pulling into a construction site. This just does not permit mobile food handlers to use our streets to conduct business.
Right. We're hoping that one day that we can actually get something. Our goal is to one day maybe get a big parking lot where a bunch of food trucks could park there, and it could be something that is where people would know, and they'll go there, be 5 or 6 different food trucks, but that's something down the road. That's something we're looking into, but at this time, this is why this is on here right now. So Joe.
Okay, the ordinance is introduced by Councilmember Rigoloso and Aaron Delaney. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Joseph Delaney.
Yeah, with everything going on with all our restaurants right now, every restaurant is hurting in the city of Garfield due to the pandemic. To add more competition to them that doesn't, pay the taxes and stuff that they've been doing, I just feel isn't fair to them. And I'm just trying to help out the struggling restaurants and business that we have now, because we know they're all hurting. They all are hurting, and we're just trying to help them out. So I'm voting aye.
Councilmember Maslag.
Yeah, and to echo some of the comments that were previously stated, I think it's really important that we, moving forward, we do figure out in the future a way that could really have food trucks in the city of Garfield, especially as Mayor mentioned about having a designated spot for food trucks. And I think right now focusing on local Garfield businesses is integral and important. So I vote aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
I believe we have like a 10 license draw and we go down to 5. I know the mayor, maybe I'm wrong, but I understand they want to expand it to 6. Now we keep in 5. But I support a small business, and I think that's one step to maybe to have another own local restaurants. When you have a food truck, I think that this is the beginning for the business, especially for Doña Sazón de Maria. And I both know, I like it what I did wrong before, and they make mistakes, correct, and then continue doing mistakes. We can penalize, but cut it up. I don't know. Oh, take it out all the streets. I don't know. So what I try is to move maybe to the work section where we have more time to study, and let's see what we can do together.
He voted no.
Oh, okay.
I voted no.
I'm sorry. Deputy Mayor Aaron Delaney.
I was going to save my comments until the end, but I guess since everyone else has, and not to cut into my time at the end, I agree that our local businesses are suffering, and a lot of those that do have these permits right now, these mobile food handler permits, they haven't been operating due to COVID. And it just kind of adds another strain onto our health department right now. Plus, aside from our TNR ordinance, I believe this ordinance has been the second biggest headache in the last 4 years. And, I'm not one for wanting to keep going back to an ordinance and make amendments to try to make it work. I want to work on something one time, perfect it, and keep it that way. So I'm going to vote aye, but that's not to say in the future that I wouldn't support having a designated area in the city as it was mentioned.
Okay, Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 nay. The ordinance passes on introduction. And Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, that concludes all written items for voting at this time.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council.
Okay, we're going to open it up to citizens and taxpayers. We see that we have a lot of ordinances here, and we have a lot of people maybe want to say something. We'll open it up. Everybody will have their 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you will be cut off. So please use your time wisely. Right now, when you do come on up, when you are chosen to come on up and speak, please state your name and your address clearly for our assistant deputy manager / city clerk. Okay? Sure. Anybody would like to come up? How are we choosing? Okay, I see it.
Hello?
Yes, Frank, we can hear you.
Hi. Okay, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Frank Toscano. I'm the owner and operator of 21st Century Auto Body on Naples Place. I've been a business owner in the city of Garfield since 1996. I am here to express my concerns with Ordinance 214.2 and 329. Both of these ordinances, if approved by council, will cause serious detriment to my business and other businesses in town. I would like to remind the current and new council members that myself and approximately 18 other repair shops and auto sales and small business owners hired legal counsel to represent us back in 2018 when several similar ordinances were introduced and were then voted down in 2018 by former council. I am here again to ask this council to sit with us and our attorney to work out a compromise that does not jeopardize our businesses. We're also very unclear and disagree how these ordinances improve the quality of life for residents. So that's my 3 minutes worth. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Frank. All comments will be weighed by the council at the end. Next person. Mr. Devine, can you hear us? Mr. Devine, we're having an issue with your volume. Maybe we could come back to him. Mr. Devine, we're having an issue with your volume. We don't understand what's being said, so maybe we'll come back to you. We'll go to Mrs. Raymond. Let's see if that's an issue with hers. Yeah. You'll be messaging individually, Mr. Devine. Ms. Raymond, you're on.
Okay, I would like you please to explain the TNR ordinance to me that you just, I don't even know what you did. I couldn't understand the word you said. Could somebody explain it?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. TNR ordinance is that we are abolishing the TNR ordinance in the city of Garfield. We'll give anybody that has a cat colony in the city of Garfield, a feral cat colony, 6 months to remove their cat. They will be fine.
Okay, and Mayor, what if they don't remove their cats? What are they supposed to do with their cats?
And they have 6 months to figure that out.
They have to figure it out. And what do we do when other cats come in from other towns? We kill them?
I can barely hear her.
When cats come in from other towns, they're going to come in from Lodi, they're going to come in from Elmwood Park. What do we do with them?
The county would be called. Whoever needs to be called, then they'll be removed.
And done what with? Euthanized?
I don't know what they would do with them.
Why is this program being discontinued? Could you answer that?
It's not working.
What do you mean it's not working?
Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah, but if I can't hear you otherwise. If we didn't do the spaying and neutering, which we've done over 800 cats, do you realize the cat population you're gonna have in Garfield? If you think you have a problem now, it's gonna be a hell of a lot worse.
We don't think the TNR program is working. The people that do have colonies are not doing the job that they were supposed to be doing. Quality of life for the neighbors of those people who have the colonies is not the quality of life they signed up to have a home, to live in a home. So unfortunately, this is the only solution. We looked into this solution for 4 years now. We brought people in. We expect this to go away. It's not going away. It is only getting worse. Unfortunately, for the people who signed up to have these colonies, they're not doing their job of that colony to keep those cats in their own neck of the woods, in their own neighborhood, in their own home. So, you know, it just has to go. It's not cost efficient for us to keep it around. It doesn't make sense for us to keep it around if it's not working.
Mayor, let's remember, you were one of the offenders. You had a cat that you kept in your house at night and let roam all day. So you were one of the offenders. We don't do that. These are outside cats. They're housed, they're fed, and they're inoculated, they're spayed, and they're neutered. Your cat population is going to explode. Why couldn't you at least have a meeting with us, call us in, and discuss this before you did this? Mayor.
I hear you. We're going to answer the rest of these questions at the end. Are there any other questions, Mrs. Ramey?
Yes. Did you ever get the $2 million that Eloy and Calendro wouldn't vote for?
Okay. Anything else?
I would like to know if you got it, and if you did get it, then why are you changing the city employees' insurance? Because that's the excuse that's being given to the city employees, that they didn't get the $2 million.
Okay.
And also, Mayor, you have some properties coming up for review before the planning board. Is this for the same developer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You have properties coming up before the planning board. Is this for the same developer?
Now, this is a study.
And what's the study being done for?
Well, these questions will be answered at the end when all the council will get a chance to answer them as well.
All right, I'll tell you what, Mayor, I don't really like this format too much. Citizens really can't get the answers that they deserve. I'll wait till the end.
Thank you. Charles Raboli.
Good evening.
Normal voice. Good evening, Mr. Raboli.
Good evening, good evening. As you know, from about 2 years ago, I was retained by a number of the repair shops on your ordinance 214, and I know it came up on.
Address. Mr. Raboli, can we get your address?
Sure, I'll give you my business address. 95 Chestnut Ridge Road, Montvale, New Jersey. So as you may recall, about 2 years ago, I was retained by some of the folks who have the repair shops for the predecessor of this ordinance. What I'm going to suggest, and I am willing to sit down with folks to discuss terms that can be worked out reasonably for both sides. The issue becomes, as it was 2 years ago, that at a certain point, when you limit hours of operation for businesses that have already been in business for many years and have relied upon it, it becomes a takings issue. You can't just willy-nilly reduce hours of operation and limit people's ability to earn a living. To avoid long-term headache, what happens if these folks, can't work it out with you guys? We're going to have a problem. So I'm going to volunteer, or at least I'm going to offer. I'm not volunteering because I'm not doing it for free, but I am offering to sit down with whatever group you have on your side, or maybe at the work session, to see if there's accommodations that can be reached. And so with that, I will send a letter to the city attorney outlining the position of my clients, and I will meet at the next work session when this matter is going to be discussed.
Thank you, Mr. Raboli.
All right, I'll see you then.
All right. Jeffrey King. Mr. King?
Hello?
We'll need his address.
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. King. Yes.
Yes, I'm at 24 Elizabeth Parkway in Borough of Eatontown. I'm just calling with regards to your policy on cannabis businesses. Just for my loved one who is in your community, I wanted to speak and say that I would hope that you would consider rescinding the ordinance that would prohibit medical. It would be a great relief of suffering. And I just wanted you to know it's really important and it matters a lot. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. King. Since you're new, Mr. King, we will comment on, I know every now and then we deviate from it, but our policy is that we comment on all questions at the end. So if you just hold on, you'll have your answers. Some of your question. Thank you. Mrs. Ingui.
Council, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm just calling in reference to a subject that was brought up a couple weeks ago that is on your reso for tonight with the cat ordinance. I cannot imagine it getting any worse than what it is right now. My backyard is a litter box. We can no longer walk through the backyard. And it is terrible. I put in an Arlo system and all it does is go off all day and all night and all throughout the middle of the night with notifications. And if you check of them all, it is constantly cats. I've almost gotten to the point where I'm ignoring it, and that's not why you put a security system in, to ignore it. I just can't imagine it getting any worse. So I just wanted to add that to what I had said, a few weeks back. It is not a very good quality of life outside of my home. Thank you.
Ms. Ingui, before you hang up, can we have your address, please?
Sure. It's 54 Park Ave.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Mayor, Mr. Devine reached out to me. He can't fix his microphone issue, but he did ask that I just mention to Mr. Dutch, the statue on River Drive. He wanted an update for the Pulaski statue and the stone underneath.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Devine, for reaching out. Mr. Grimes. How you doing, Mr. Grimes?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Edward Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 in New Jersey, and we advocate for disabled people and cannabis patients' rights. And I do want to talk about your ordinance that we'd like you to revisit this ordinance to take away the medical ban and help the sick and the dying people in your town. The people in wheelchairs have a very hard time getting around. I talked about this at the last meeting where there was the police station was not even shoveled out, but you have this huge ramp and a huge crosswalk and it wasn't even shoveled out. So when I talk about putting the last first, put the last first when it comes to shoveling too. Let's shovel out those ramps first and make sure the disabled people can get around in the snow, because it's very hard for disabled people in the snow in the winter. It's hard enough in the summer, but in the winter, it's even harder. And the ordinance that you have is going to force patients to go to other towns. And it's not easy for someone in a wheelchair to go to another town. You have to get in a car. A lot of patients don't have cars. A lot of these guys and girls are on disability, and it's not easy for them to get around. I was on opiates for 10 years for my back surgeries and my cervical surgeries. And I no longer take opiates because I use medical cannabis. And I learned about opiates. I was ignorant. I was learned about medical cannabis from other patients because I was ignorant when I was younger. I didn't know that cannabis helped all these different symptoms. I met a woman called Cheryl Miller, and she had multiple sclerosis. And her husband used to give her cannabis where her body was stiff. She couldn't move. And her husband would give her the cannabis, and all of a sudden she could move her arms, and he was able to exercise her and stretch her out, which she couldn't do before the cannabis. I never saw that before. All I knew about cannabis was, yeah, it gave you the munchies, and yeah, maybe it gives you cancer patients help that way. But no, it's actually a lot better. It has a great effect on your body and the endocannabinoid system. And I hope that you would just do a Google search on that, because you mentioned that you want to be educated on cannabis. Just Google the endocannabinoid system, and you'll learn a lot about it right there. Or talk to patients like I've been doing all my life. Cheryl Miller used to go around in a bed and advocate for other patients. She couldn't move her body. She could only move her eyes, her head, her mouth. That's it. That's all she had. But she advocated for the sick and the dying with her bed being pushed around the state by her husband, Jim. And that inspired me to do what I do now to help other patients, because I'm a patient. I could be sitting home right now with my windows shut, but I'd rather be here trying to educate you guys to lift your ordinance to help patients in your town, because people are suffering. And I'm Christian, and I want to put the last first. I don't know how long I'm going to be on this planet. I feel we're almost in the apocalypse now, and I'm trying to do what I can to help people to make life better for all of us here. I don't have all the answers, but I know that we're here to glorify God and to help other people. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what we're trying to do as a group here, as a 501c3, to help patients, because we're suffering. There's nobody out here advocating for us. You got people in beds that right now that are just watching this, that can't get out of bed. And it's sad. Our friend Jeff just passed away last year, and he used to go to these council meetings with a chemo bag strapped to his body, and he would go and fight for rights that he knew he wouldn't see in his lifetime, but he would see other people get those rights in their lifetime. So I would just wish that you would revisit this ordinance. And I do have one question, not pertaining to this, but did you remove public comment from your caucus or your workshop? Because I believe public comment is super important to these meetings. These are our meetings. These are public meetings. And I hope that you wouldn't limit public comment in any way, shape, or form. And I appreciate you giving me some extra time here too. Thank you.
Extra 30 seconds, you got it. No problem.
I got 10 more. Okay, good.
No, I said that was it. You went over 30 seconds.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimes. Is there anyone else on?
Brian Becker.
Mr. Becker?
Mr. Mayor and Council, how's everybody doing tonight?
Very fine, Mr. Decker. Thank you.
Address.
I'm sorry, Mr. Decker, your address, please.
Sure. It's 4 Greenleaf Drive, Manalapan. I'm the director of the Garden State Animal Rescue Center.
Thank you.
I just wanted to speak in reference to the proposed ordinance getting rid of TNR within the city. As the organization, we do strongly hope that the city would reconsider this program. And Mayor, I could get a list of municipalities to you that have gone this route and tried to prevent TNR because they felt that it wasn't working and felt that would be the best avenue. And I could give you, again, a list of those municipalities that have done so and then have actually reverted back and have gone pro TNR. I could tell you the likelihood of catching all the cats and getting them removed is not going to happen. It's just a physical inability, just because there's not enough manpower and ability to do so. Realistically, when a shelter takes in those feral cats, as the council is, I guess, determined that may be the course, you're now putting a burden on the individual shelter because they're still required to hold the animal for 7 days. And now with proposed state legislation, they're required to hold it for an additional 7 days, pending a potential adoption point. So at the end of it, you're actually putting more of a burden on the shelter itself. Again, if you would like, I could get a list of those municipalities that have tried both ways. that way you see that, and I hope that we can, within the next several days, if council or you, Mr. Mayor, are able to, maybe we could speak on the phone and see how, maybe the best course of moving forward that would be good for your constituents that are both pro and for, either for or against PNR itself. That way everybody has the best course of moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Decker.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Mrs. Spence Skyver. Mrs. Van Skyver.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening. My address is 427 Greenwich Ave in Paulsboro.
How can we help?
I just kind of wanted to reiterate some things that people had said about medical cannabis. We're at a point in time that like 67% of the population voted to legalize recreational. And it's incredibly difficult to listen when we're just asking for medicine to be accessible to your community. Watching your meeting over the holiday, I hope everyone did have a good holiday, but it was difficult when there's alcohol being given and celebrated openly during a meeting, and alcohol is an unnatural intoxicant. I'm sorry, that takes many lives. And to just feel the stigma attached to cannabis that's used as medication, that's never in history killed a single person. I'm not really sure what else to say. I don't know why we're still here begging for this. Please take a consideration as to what you're celebrating and what you're normalizing and what's acceptable versus what we're asking for, what the people that we're asking for use it for. Please have some compassion. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Van Skyver. Do we have anyone else? No? See no more hands? Well,
There was one question.
go ahead, one question came through.
How can or will the city council fix the communication ability for public response?
Okay. Did they give you a name?
Joan Banner.
Okay, thank you. You got that, Drew?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we're going to open it up to council comments. Councilman Delaney.
Yeah, Mayor, I didn't hear, what was that last question?
Oh, how can or will the city council fix the communication ability for the public response? By Mrs. Bannis.
How can the city, well, Drew, read that, Drew.
It's not on the screen anymore. How can or will the city council fix the communications ability for public response?
For what, for council meetings? For council meetings, that is, I guess?
I would assume.
I tell you what, Mayor, I gotta give our whole team credit for doing a very fine job tonight with this council meeting. We were able to get people from all over the state of New Jersey to call in. I mean, all over the state. I didn't even know these towns that they called in from. And I was able to hear them fine. It was the people from Garfield that wasn't able to hear great. But I think we're doing a great job. I know a lot better than another meeting that happened last night, so we did pretty good. With regard to some of the questions, Ms. Raymond brought up about the $2 million that our former councilman didn't vote for, and we're using this for an excuse. That's the most, I don't know how to put it, but people just come up with stories. Because I never heard of that reason, but of course, Miss Raymond heard of it, but then she always hears of something crazy like that. So I don't know why she would even bring that up for a question. So if she brings up that question, I'm not going to answer none of her other questions because they're false. So that's where I stand with her. With Miss Van Skeever, I really don't know what she meant by celebrating alcohol at a meeting. I never once seen alcohol at any meetings. And with regards to marijuana, I believe you have a council right now that is the majority of the council is pro marijuana and the legalization of it. So that's where I'm just going to go with all those questions regarding medical marijuana. So you have a different council here right now. The building department, with regards to the other issues with the repair shops, hey, look, we're just trying to make the quality of life in Garfield better for our residents. It's an issue, and we're just trying to address it. We did many ordinances tonight to address our quality of life with regard to stop signs, just trying to make Garfield a better place. And that's all we're trying to do, quality of life. I don't know what other questions there were. I was trying to write it down, but I guess that's it. If Tom's still on, I wrote our DPW superintendent an email today regarding, we have signs on our telephone poles. They read cars for cash and houses for cash and other signs that people are putting up on our poles on public property. And I think it don't add to our quality of life. If somehow we can get them taken down and find out who's putting them up, I like to see if there is something that we can do to stop them from putting them up. It's really a disgrace. I mean, the company put these signs up, they leave them up there forever, and it's not right. So I like to address that somehow, some way. I'd like to welcome our new city engineer tonight, Carl O'Brien, who sat on. And I guess that's it with regards to our first meeting, to Romy and Pavel. Welcome to our first regular work session in the city of Garfield. I know it was a lot tonight. It's a lot to comprehend, but it does get easier. It does get easier, and that's it. With that, Mayor, thank you for the time. I'm done. I'm good.
Thank you. Councilman Herrera.
Oh, I think Pavel.
Thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity. First of all, I'm happy to want to the council who support the resolution for the intersections with 4 stop, special in Clara Street and Harrison. For the last year, we have many accidents. We can control down the speed, and also we can control or reduce car accidents. Second, I want to give a big shout out to Garfield United, who celebrate the 3 wise men. We do a nice drive-through. We follow all the regulations for the COVID situations. We do it in the parking lot behind Recreation Center. Thank you to Recreation Center to be allowed. Thank you to Community Officer Jeff Stewart, Garfield PBA, Bergen County Charter Department, also Anthony Curet and all sheriffs, Bergen County Commission Jermaine Ortiz, all the supports like La Fortaleza, La Campesina, all the people who's make a donation. Thank you from the heart. So we give it like a toy away, like a 240 toys for kids in Garfield. So this is the way. This is the way we can give it something back to the community, and I believe this is positive for all city. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Councilman Herrera. Councilman Maslack.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So first and foremost, very excited to join everyone here on council, a part of City of Garfield, and also all the watchers and attendees of this meeting. And I really do want to highlight the point about the current ongoing pandemic that's affecting many lives, from economically to health-wise. I mean, our numbers in Garfield, compared to previous months, they are rising right now, which is really concerning. And we do have the vaccine. I myself am a part of a research team at Columbia University that's focused on COVID-19. I've been very fortunate enough to have the vaccine. So I do encourage everyone out there that's listening and everyone in Garfield, when you are eligible and you are able to make an appointment, to definitely do make an appointment and get the vaccine. It's really important for us to save lives, keep people healthy, and also get back to our previous economic situation where we can really be thriving. And that also brings me to my next point about small businesses in Garfield. There's a lot of businesses that are currently struggling, and it's really important that we do support them. And it'll be tough. We have to make tough decisions when it comes to small businesses. So I definitely do want to lean in, especially with the members of Garfield that did attend the meeting tonight in regards to auto body shops. I definitely do think that we would have to work together and find a way that we could help support small businesses, but also support the quality of life of residents in Garfield, which are two very distinct points. And we also have to work together and make sure that we can support small businesses and also the quality of life in Garfield for all residents. And to the attendees of the meeting that have been attending for quite some time now, in terms of medical marijuana, I definitely agree with Councilman Delaney in terms of the current city council. I think we are very progressive on that front. We are, yes, we are a new council. We definitely are leaning more into that. But I think across the state, it's new for us. We are learning. We want to do it the proper way. So for us, we have to really discuss, decide, and really figure out a way forward when it comes to supporting our residents who are using medical marijuana for their medical conditions. With that, I definitely want to say thank you for this opportunity to serve. It's my first meeting, but there's a lot of work to be done, as evident in this meeting. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman Maslach. Deputy Mayor Delaney. Deputy Mayor Delaney.
Sorry, Mayor.
That's okay.
I'm juggling back and forth between the agenda and my Zoom. So first, I just quickly wanted to address Mr. Toscano and Mr. Raboli. Thank you for joining us this evening. A few months back, I had a conversation with Mr. Toscano, and I always said I would have an open conversation, especially when it comes to our businesses. So I am all for and fine with having a meeting regarding this ordinance. However, I would like to do so sooner rather than later. I feel like in our first term, well, my first term, a lot of things kind of just kept getting pushed off and things never happened. So if we can get a meeting, hear you guys out, have the individuals that I requested earlier, I personally am fine with that. And then go from there. So that's really all I have to say about that. In regards to medical marijuana, council members Maslach and Delaney already said it. Right now we're waiting guidance from the state. It's something that we, want to do once and that's it. We want to do it right. We don't want to have to keep revisiting it as we did with prior ordinances, because that creates headaches. For instance, the food truck ordinance, and you see what happened with that this evening. So I think that's the most appropriate route to go. I do want to thank some individuals for behaving in a more appropriate manner this evening than when they interrupted at our work session meeting. Yes, we do have a new format. We have our work session meetings on the second Tuesday of the month. And that's exactly what it is. It's a work session meeting for the public to listen into, but so that the mayor and council can get business done. I believe our work session lasted about 4 hours, and we got a lot of work done, as you can see with some of our ordinances and resolutions this evening. And we weren't on a time limit where we were in the past to get out to the public by 8 p.m. So I'm personally more of a fan of this kind of format because it allows us to get more business done for the city. Kat, thank you, Ms. Ingwe, for being on this evening. I know some people don't like to come on and speak about this topic, but it's something that's been an issue for longer than 3 to 4 years. It's been an issue for a very long time. I know I spent countless hours addressing it in my first term. I was tormented by many people for even considering addressing the ordinance. I kind of just want to make one distinction. I believe it's not that we're eliminating TNR, we're eliminating the feral cat colonies. The TNR program, as far as I understand, will still be available through our animal control, which is with the county shared service. So we would still be encouraging and promoting TNR to help eliminate the cat issue. But right now, the feral cat colonies are simply not working. The quality of life is horrendous. We tried to come to a compromise. You know, why haven't we met with Garf? Former Mayor Raymond asks. We have met with Garf countless of times. We've spoken with you. We've changed ordinances. We've compromised, and we give, but you guys don't give back. All you do is take. You don't follow the ordinance. As soon as the ordinance was passed, you should have gotten your colonies registered. You should have filled out the complete paperwork. There was no reason for our health department to have to send out packets in October to only have one colony registered. So the fact that now all of a sudden you're worried about it and you didn't answer, our health inspector's emails or reaching out, I'm sorry, it's just too little too late. And, Garf members aren't our only residents in town. We need to worry about their quality of life as well. In regards to the $2 million just being used for insurance or whatever that comment was, we're in the middle of a pandemic, all surrounding pretty much, I don't know any municipality that didn't adopt that ordinance, adopted it because of the hardships from the COVID-19 issue in regards to revenues being down. It was a tough year, and it was an opportunity that we couldn't miss. Did we anticipate our insurance provider going up about 27%? No. Does that $2 million cover that 27%? No. So we had to make a tough decision in order to keep all of our employees employed. And, some people may not be happy, but as always, I do my research. I spoke to medical providers. I spoke to our former JIF representative who actually spoke nothing but good things about, the new insurance group that we're entering or whatever you want to call it. So I'm personally fine with that decision that we made. Contractually, we need to offer our employees equal to or better than, and that's exactly what we're doing. It's interesting, though. It's funny that a former councilman who voted no on a $2 million ordinance and loan that would give us $10,000 of interest a year for 5 years. He wouldn't support it, but that same councilman got an interest-free loan for his business for over $150,000. So that's a little hypocritical to me. But we have a new council here. I want to thank everyone for listening. I can't wait for the new projects. And on a good note, I just wanted to mention we have some Sustainable New Jersey 2 grant applications that I'm working on with our grant writer. We were not successful in our Gardenia application, which they said is very competitive, but Sustainable New Jersey personally reached out to me after reading our application, and they are providing us with technical assistance for other grants. So I look forward to doing those and getting the green team back up and running. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Dutch, are you still on?
Mayor, I have one more thing. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
I have a special guest I wanted everyone to meet. Say hello to Stevie Delaney. She was very lucky until just now, and she's not happy with the meeting, but I did want everyone to meet her, so thank you.
Stevie's a rescue from Georgia.
Yeah, she's getting her meeting notes together now.
Yeah, she'll be on them in about a minute.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, Mr. Dutch, are
I'm
you
here,
still on?
Mayor. I am.
Would you like to comment on the $2 million loan?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
Mr. Rigatano is still on as well.
Okay.
The $2 million
fantastic.
loan, the $2 million loan was necessary because of the decline in revenues. Municipalities across the United States of America, counties and states have experienced a serious decline. The state legislature unanimously passed legislation to allow municipalities to borrow under very specific circumstances to meet the revenue needs of the municipality. We did what we could to cut the budget, but when you had losses in the court of a decline in revenue in the court of some $545,000, when you had a decline in the building department and all of our other departments pretty much across the board in revenues, you had to get the revenues from someplace. By doing the borrowing, and Mr. Rigatano effected the borrowing, I was unable to do that, but Mr. Rigatano was able to do that. So the mayor and council voted unanimously for it. What it's doing is keeping our employees working. I'm proud of the fact that we have not laid anyone off. We have not, everyone who works in the city has continued to work. So that says something about the governing body and the leadership. In terms of health insurance, yeah, the health insurance premium from Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield went up 27%. 27%, I don't know about, it's unsustainable. It's unaffordable. It's for the citizen, it's unaffordable to supplement it, unaffordable to the taxpayer, unaffordable to the employee. So health insurance wise, we had a bad year. Unfortunately, we had a lot of people who had a lot of large claims. We had a lot of people who were ill. That caused this huge increase in our premium. We had no alternative but to go out and to seek other options. That's your obligation as an elected official or as an appointed official. And that is to, we're going to protect our employees, but we're also going to protect the public. We're going to protect Joe Citizen on the street. So our insurance consultant was able to go out and get us into a health insurance fund. The city belongs to a joint insurance fund that covers our liability insurance. It covers our workers' compensation, et cetera. If we had to do that in an open commercial market, our premium for that insurance would be almost double. So what we had to do here was shop it. And our insurance consultant shopped it and was able to get us a rate increase of 11.6%. I would note that the original proposal would have resulted in a tax increase of 5.9 points alone. That's unsustainable. We cannot ask the citizens to do that. It cannot happen. I did raise the issue at one of the meetings with the unions. Maybe we should consider some other coverage. The coverage that the employees enjoy is excellent coverage, excellent, but you pay for excellent coverage. So obviously no one is willing to take a downgrade to their coverage. So we were able to go out and we are able to join the Bergen County medical insurance pool. We will get a seat at the table. I will be a commissioner there. Mr. Pavlicka, the deputy city manager, will be the alternate commissioner there, just as we do in the JIF. So as we go to those meetings and as we protect the interests of the city, our employees, and our people, we will do the same thing in the health insurance fund. So 11.6%, it's still an increase. It is a 2.8 point tax increase as opposed to a 5.9%, 5.9 point tax increase. So we have to manage the city as best as we can. It's been mentioned here before that the pandemic has presented unique challenges. This was one of them. I would note for the record that the employees did go out and they did engage a forensic examiner to look at the health insurance policy we have and to look at the health insurance policy we are offering. I'm happy to report that every question was answered properly, affirmatively, and the coverage that the employees have come to expect, and which they're entitled to by contract, they will continue to get. In this economy, that's huge. That's huge. The fact that you can preserve what they have. So, so that's just a little explanation. Mr. Rigatano, anything else to add on the $2 million? Maybe you can just update the public on the closing on that loan. You're on mute. Mr. Rigatano. All right. I'm going to say, if Mr. Rigatano has not picked up, what I'm going to say is that I believe later this week, he will close on the loan at a very preferred rate. It'll allow the city to continue to operate. We are in the process of putting together all of our numbers so that we can start talking about our budget.
Tom,
Thank you, Mayor, for the time.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, Mr. Rigatano.
Yeah, you Roy.
Go ahead. Your question, Tom?
My question, Mr. Rigatano, was the closing on the loan, when will it take place? Just so the public knows, on the $2 million coronavirus funding.
Right. So the bidding was completed last week. The numbers of $10,000, it's going to be less, and we're closing in 48 hours, Thursday morning, 10 a.m. this Thursday.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, to close it out, first of all, I want to thank our new council for being here. This is their first real meeting. Carl Bryan, our new city engineer, welcome to the city of Garfield. Wishing you a lot of luck. Mr. Raboli, please set up that appointment with our council and let's see where we can go from there. I would like to, the marijuana, the cannabis. The city of Garfield is not against this ordinance at all. Matter of fact, I just filled out a survey for mayors on this. We are for it. Matter of fact, 2 years ago and even last year, we were looking at areas in the city of Garfield to have a manufacturing plant. To get 2% of the gross sales, you know, that's what we were told is a big deal in the city of Garfield, to get 2%. So for us, we were looking, but when we had these teams of growers in the city of Garfield, we were told, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, we were told that when we laid that map out, there's not a place in the city of Garfield that's not close to, because we're only 2 miles, that's not close to a park, a church, or a school. And they rolled up their map and they said, thank you for your time.
That's correct.
Am I correct?
You're correct, Mayor.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously, I didn't look at the laws and I don't know what the guidance is from the state. If we could get medical marijuana there in the city of Garfield and manufacturers, I'm all for it. We're just working on it. We're still waiting for the guidance from the states. I believe there's a loophole in there. If they're going to make it legal, then it should be legal. And that will get us to having manufacturers in the city of Garfield. To get 2%, some of these plants I'm hearing pulling $30, $40 million a year. So to get 2% of that, that's a lot of money in our city of Garfield. So for everybody that came on to discuss it, we are not against it. Yes, a while back, we voted against that ordinance. I understand that, but we're open-minded and we're looking to amend it eventually when we do get this right guidance and everything like that. So just give us some time to fix it and look into it. Tom talked about the $2 million. We talked about the food trucks, the quality of life with the feral cats. Yeah, Deputy Mayor is absolutely correct. I sat in a couple of these meetings. There was a lot of opportunities for these feral cat colonies to be fixed. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened. And we just can't keep going to the well. You know, there's not a city worker who wants to take this on for themselves. To have outside agency to help them out is way too much money. So this is what it is. If these residents can't handle their colony because they're overrun, you know, well, it was 5 cats and now 15, 20 cats. Unfortunately, this is the situation we have to go. And it is a sensitive subject and it's a touchy subject for many. And we put a lot of time into it, but we can't put no more time into this. I'm sorry. So we have to move on. We have to move on. There are a lot of ordinances here the quality of life. I appreciate all the workers from, the department working on these ordinances and everything like that. I'm excited for the new year. The city of Garfield, we have some development going on. There's excitement going on. It's just this COVID that is slowing things up. Oh, I'm just going to go back a little. I think we had one, she wasn't a resident. I think she was our last person. Jamie was her name, Jamie Van Skyver, and she talked about the alcohol. I think, Councilman, she was referring to the reorg, the fire department reorg, when I was giving them a bottle, but it was closed. It was a gift to each of the fire departments, a bottle of booze, because we weren't allowed to have events anymore, well, because of the COVID. So usually after the reorg, everybody goes to the fire department and they celebrate. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and I gave them a bottle. But I understand what you're saying, but those bottles were closed. So I just wanted to clarify that. And those were gifts, not wrapped. I don't wrap gifts. Our Garfield Events Committee, I want to give a shout out to the Garfield Events Committee. We are going forward with our events in the city of Garfield, and we'll take guidance from the state. If we have to cancel these events, we will cancel these events. We are moving on with, we have scavenger hunts through the city. Our carnival, we're looking at hopefully at the end of May or end of April, if things open up. Carnival people said they could pull it off. If everything is doable. Our fireworks show, concerts in the park with our new rec director, street fair. There's a lot of things we want to do that was canceled. We want to get life back into the city of Garfield with our community. We're hoping that the sports will open up, the Babe Ruth, the Little League, the softball, the soccer, these things open up, the wrestling, the basketball. So, if they don't open up, we're planning that they're all going to open up eventually sometime in the spring. If we have to cancel, we'll cancel along the way. But I have to give them a shout out because they are working hard. They work every Friday. We meet every Friday and they come up with this. We just had to cancel a movie. We had live Super Bowl, live drive-in Super Bowl, and we had to cancel it. So because of the restrictions, we had a vendor coming on in and they were gonna play on a 40-foot screen, a live Super Bowl. How cool would that be? And a tailgate party, but unfortunately we had to cancel. So, the events committee is working hard like everybody else. I want to thank our organizations, Garfield Neighbors and Strangers. They continue every day to amaze me. They're always out helping out our residents of the city of Garfield. Let me see. I just want to make sure I wrote notes all around, so I want to make sure I didn't miss nothing. No, that's about it. I do kind of like this format where we meet and we go to our work session. The public is allowed to come into the work session, but there are no comments from the public. It's just a work session to get everything through. And then the comments are during this session where we have our public session live. So, it's a different format that people are used to, but it's a format that obviously you see a lot gets done as opposed to things being put off. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move the city forward and we're trying to just grow as a city. With that, motion to adjourn.
Motion, Joe.
Looking for a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor,
Got
please
it.
say aye.
Aye.
Stevie.
Aye.
Stevie. Aye, Drew. Good night, Carl. Good night, Romy.
Good night,
Good night.
council. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bob.
Have a good one.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.